Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Retail Corner. I am joined today by Fredrich, an expert in subscription-based solutions for retail. Paul, thank you very much for joining us, sir.
Cole, thanks for having me. Super exciting.
Absolutely. And so, for those of us not fully familiar with you and everything else like that, can you walk through your CV a little bit and kind of walk through your solution?
Of course, happy to. I'm currently the Chief Product Officer at Ordergroove. We help brands build relationships with their customers. So think of this as subscriptions, bundles, memberships, like things like that. I've been with
Okay.
the company for 7.5 years. My team is product management, product design, content, these are functions. And then prior to that, which is hard to remember because I've been there for 7.5 years, I was a VP of product at Contently. That was a content marketing enterprise software and also a network of freelancers. And then prior to that, long history in and around commerce, like payments. 5 years at PayPal. I joined them in Germany. They relocated me to America. I left them. I went to a startup. They ended up acquiring that startup, went back to PayPal. Have a long passion for
It's went
everything
full
related to.
circle, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then that's also when I switched the coast from California to the East Coast. I'm currently in New Jersey on the East Coast. But long history, passion for anything related to buying and selling commerce. I used to sell punk CDs before there was the internet, and then on the internet as a student, like things like that.
Proper man. I honestly want to do the whole podcast about you selling punk CDs. I think that's some guerrilla marketing and everything else. Wow, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and
Um,
ages both of us, right? CDs. When's the last time you saw a CD? Probably like
oh, what's a CD? I'm not sure. Oh, I can't
exactly like yeah.
pull that off. Yeah, yeah. I've got too much white in my beard.
Yeah.
So like you said, you're working with Ordergroove, and Ordergroove is kind of a cool idea. But so what exactly is the when you're an entrepreneur, you have to answer a question, solve a problem. What exactly is Ordergroove solving?
Yeah, there was a time where, as a retailer, as a brand, you could just acquire customers like there was no tomorrow, and then you sold them a product and they disappeared, and then you acquired the next batch of customers. You were happy to pay for that, and those times are over because acquisition cost has gotten a lot more expensive. The
Sure,
area of like growth at any cost is like over, and now you are asked to look for profitable growth. Right, you're thinking about lifetime revenue of a customer, lifetime profit of a customer, which then determines how much you can afford to pay to acquire a customer. So all these like things like go like full circle. And a subscription is a really good way to convert a one and done customer into a customer that stays with you as the retailer or the brand that you have a relationship with, that leads to subsequent purchases like higher spend,
sure,
incremental spend, like all these like things. And then again, just to make sure, the more lifetime profit you make of a customer, the more you can afford to acquire that customer, and the faster, the further you can grow, right? So it might be counterintuitive, but you want to be able to pay a really high customer acquisition cost, right? Because then you can grow like faster.
sure.
And subscriptions help you do that. On the consumer side, we're always looking for, as a consumer, right? We're always looking for make things like easier, more convenient, like less like friction, right? And then also value.
All those pain points, yeah.
Exactly, right? We always want things to be easier, faster, like less headache. We're all really busy like these days. And then of course, everybody loves a good deal, right? So if you can save some like money, that's awesome. And subscriptions are a great way of doing both these things for you, right? So whether that's like in the pet space or food or beverages or like beauty, right? These are products that you need over and over again as a consumer, and
Sure.
they can come automatically to your home. You get an extra like discount, right? So that's very like attractive.
And so for some people, they're like, "Oh, well, a subscription model doesn't really work for us. A subscription model doesn't really speak to our customers." But at the other end of that, you guys, I mean, I think it was 152% growth that you just posted. I mean,
Yes,
that's
all true.
that's that's showing the opposite story, that consumers are very open to this idea,
Yeah,
right? I
so
mean, how are you guys pulling that off? That's amazing.
yeah, subscriptions in physical products haven't been around like that long. There's like a few companies that did this like 15 years ago, but overall it's still relatively like new, and it's also ever evolving, right? So if you say like subscription, that's a very umbrella term, and then it can mean like many different things. It can be a simple ship this to me every 30 days. It can be a bundle. It can be something where you get like a new product every month, like something to surprise you or delight you. It can also mean something like a paid membership where you pay like a little bit every month as a consumer in exchange for faster shipping, cashback, like these types of like things. There's probably a subscription flavor for every retailer, for every brand, but there's not like a one size fits all. There are certain categories where it's very clearly like, hey, I need this over and over again. Think
Oh,
diapers or
absolutely.
vitamins, right?
Yeah, I mean, I get my filters every month, kind of thing, and so there's no reason not to, and not to
Oh,
kind of push
perfect.
that into everything.
And I used to I used to work in an office where we didn't have a filter subscription, and nobody remembered. And then the AC kept breaking, and the repair guy kept telling us to replace the filter, and we didn't, and it kept breaking again. So there are many benefits, but again, it really depends on who your customer is, the product you're like selling, and there's a lot of like innovation and like novel concepts for having a way to make your customers' lives like easier, give them some like value, and then exchange get recurring revenue, which obviously has a higher multiplier as from a company value perspective than the one-time revenue, where every time you get the revenue, you had to pay acquisition cost or some like fee, versus
Right.
with a subscriber, you pay once, you acquire them like once, and then you have a stream of future like revenue, like recurring, that has a different impact on your company valuation as well.
So bringing the whole world of products, of services, of physical products, everything else involved, what are you seeing as like kind of the key elements to kind of put together for a successful subscription? That's tough to say.
Yeah, I would say as with anything, you have to decide if you're serious about it or just like check the box, right? And I would highly
Yeah.
recommend that you're serious about it, because the return is so like positive or so good. And then I would suggest that you like think about your business, your customers, right, and understand what your opportunity is, and then have targets, have like measurements, like drive this like a very important piece of your go-to market, right? If you don't look at data, don't measure this, don't try like things, don't have no place where you're trying to take it, it's not gonna like happen, or it's gonna be less and like slower, right? Versus no, this is really where we see us being a year from now. Here are the metrics we want to get to, and then work backwards from that, and make the right decisions and investments to get you there. And
Mhm.
then again, always pay attention to your customers, right? Nowadays, I think it's fantastic to be a consumer, right? You have all the power, you have all the choices, like D2C, right? All these things are like amazing. They're fantastic products, fantastic experiences, right? Being
Oh,
created
absolutely. Yeah.
like for you. And then as a retailer, as a brand, that means you have to pay attention to your customers. And then if you don't do a good enough job at catering right to them, personalization, like all these like things, somebody else will, and they're gonna go like there, right? So it's not just, there's an upside in being really good at subscriptions. There's also a risk if you don't do it, but your competitor does, you're probably gonna have a harder time a few months from now.
Absolutely. I mean, you're no longer with brick and mortar. You're competing with the next 100 yards, and with subscriptions, especially anything like that, you're competing literally with anyone else on the planet. And so, yeah, and so if I was a retailer thinking about subscriptions, and because you talked about, yeah, you talked about customer acquisition a little bit. Um, am I looking at my current? Because everybody's like, "Oh, give me your number, give me your email address for the newsletter or whatever it may be." And are you looking at converting your current customers or bringing in ones that like focus right at first?
So I think it depends on the business, but the answer probably is like both, right? So this goes back to like, hey, how can I have an experience for my customers where this has like value for like them and leads to recurring like revenue for me? And again, some products that might be like very obvious, like very simple. So you start offering subscriptions, your existing customers are gonna say, this is great, I'm gonna buy this like now. New customers are going to be attracted to it, right? You're going to get like both. In
Sure.
other categories, it might be a little bit. You have to be a little bit more creative. I think it goes back to, is this check the box? I just want to have a subscription somewhere, or do you want to actually say like, no, this actually I want recurring revenue with all the benefits that comes with, right? It's a lot more like defensible when it comes, for example, in a recession, right? That's the revenue that's not going to go down. Your subscribers also are your best and your most loyal customers, right? So there's like risk in not doing that. So it's really focusing on like these like things, and you're gonna figure out your recurring revenue revenue story like from there, I would say.
Okay, so I'm looking for like a common challenge. I'm looking for something that, if you could give a shout out to one of the companies that you've worked with or something like that. Like I'm looking for like an overcome mountain, a mountain that you've already climbed. And what are some common challenges that you're seeing when people are trying to convert to this kind of
Yeah, so what I think is common, that if you haven't done this before, you think it's very easy. It's like the iceberg, right? Where you're like, oh, I see this little thing sticking out above the waterline. This is all I
thing?
have to
Yeah,
do. This is like very like easy. You might even think it's not that differentiated or like that like mission like critical, right? And then you get going, and then you realize it's actually very different from a transaction business. It's quite complicated. The return, the upside is like there, but there's more work than you thought there would be.
yeah,
Which then means you either under deliver in terms of impact you want to have, or the overhead is killing you, right? Where it's just like, now I have to have all these developers do all these like things, and so on. So I think that's very common if you have not done it like previously, that you underestimate what's required. And again, the iceberg, right, is in reality, you see this, but there's like all like this, right?
yeah,
Majority of our customers have had a program before they came to us, so they've either tried to build this themselves and then they couldn't launch, or they couldn't keep up with it,
sure,
or they've been on another solution where they're like running out of like steam, and then they come to us and say like, hey, I clearly understand now what's required. Here's the things, the business challenges I have. Either I'm not enrolling enough subscribers, I'm not retaining them enough, or not upselling them enough, or like all these like things. Help me with that. Or the overhead, right? It was like, hey, I have an army of engineers now, like supporting these like things, like workaround that doesn't work for me. Please, like help me like there. So I think the most common challenge is underestimating what's actually required to run a best-in-class subscription like program. And then, since you asked about like the customer examples and so on, good one is like Good Ranchers, for example. That's a meat monthly subscription box, right? So that's a very successful like program. It sounds so simple. There's a lot of complexity in like these things. Or think about Pete's Coffee, for example, right? Coffee is a product that people usually don't stop drinking coffee, right?
yeah,
They're usually like very like opinionated, and there's a lot required to really make sure they have a very smooth like experience, and keep coming back. And again, consumers have all the power these days. They might not actually quit the physical product, they might quit the experience, right? If this is too cumbersome for
yeah.
me to
I mean,
remember a password, go back, right? Like you might lose them to somebody else.
I'm with you. I tried to stop drinking coffee, and it was a terrible idea. It was. I had
Yes,
to go back
I
to
do
it.
agree.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I do agree. Like, yeah.
unfortunately, yeah, it just got me in its grasp. But and so like you talked about lifetime value, and I feel like that's another iceberg that's out there. People think, oh well, I'm
Totally.
going to get this subscription and I'm going to get this value, but how does that trickle down? Like, do people realize how much they're going to get from a subscription?
No, so there is lifetime value as a term that everybody uses, but it's usually everybody has their own definition. It's rather confusing, right? And it's like lifetime
Yeah,
revenue. It's a little bit more precise. Lifetime like profit, right? And then we are focused on lifetime like profit because you only have to acquire once, whether like these like things. And then what are all the reasons why the relationship might end, right? So one is what you described. It's like, hey, I want to stop drinking coffee. I'm going to cancel my subscription, right? That's one
yeah,
way of how this can
it's
end.
a terrible idea.
Yeah, so and that's like fine, right? You made a choice, you don't want that coffee, and off you go, right? But there are other reasons where it's like, hey, this is just too cumbersome. I need to update my shipping address. That's too much work, or it's coming too fast, or not fast enough, right? There's all these like things where you really want to have a very simple, delightful experience for the consumer, or they're gonna like exit. But then there are also other challenges like your credit card, right? So every month, 3% of credit cards expire and get like reissued. So your best customers might just might stop working, right? So they still want the
Right.
coffee and like all these like things, but now something gets in the way. And there's a lot of technology you can use to get ahead on this, with like account updater, like retries and proactive communication, incentives, like all these like things. But these are all like good examples where you didn't think that this might happen until it happens, and then what do? Because you thought you're getting the recurring like revenue, but a certain percentage
Sure.
every month just doesn't happen unless you put like extra effort like in. And then of course you're also interested in, now that I have a relationship, right? That's just the beginning. How do I deepen the relationship with my customer, or the other like models? So for example, like a prepaid subscription, or where you get them to commit to a certain amount in exchange. So we have customers, for example, that um, you can buy the coffee as a one-time purchase, you can buy the coffee as a subscription, you get a discount, and then you can also commit to a certain amount of coffee. In exchange, you get the coffee maker for free. So you sign up,
Oh,
you get
okay.
the coffee maker for free, and then over the course of the next 2 years, you need to consume a certain amount of coffee. You have full flexibility when you do this, but they gave you a free machine in exchange for a certain amount of coffee that you're gonna like purchase from them, things like that.
So it's not just coupons. It's not just 10% off kind of thing. It's almost personalized at that point.
Totally. Coupons are very important. Incentives are very important. At the end of the day, everybody likes a good deal, but there's a lot around like the experience, the personalization, right? And if you think about like all of us, we are rather busy these like days, right? There's a lot going on, and depending on what your hobbies are, whether like kids or pets or
Sure.
the plants I'm trying to keep alive, right? That takes a while away from the time you have available. And then if you are required to like make a purchase or remember like a password or like all these like things, it might not happen, right? And as a retailer, as a brand, you really want to minimize all these like little pieces of friction, and keep your customers around and engaged, and unlock that recurring like revenue.
That makes sense. That makes sense. You got to make sure people are taken care of at the end of the day. I mean,
Yes.
that's what retailers do. We make sure
Oh
people
yeah.
are taken care of. And so
Happy customer,
you're
right, is the best gift, right? Like they're gonna stay, they're gonna spend more, they're gonna tell their friends, right? So it's just that's fantastic. And I don't think that's how it used to be, right? Because to your point earlier, you didn't have alternatives, right? So it's like, what are you gonna do,
Mhm.
right? You have to buy from my store, and now they have. So it's really important that you focus on them being like super happy.
So you move around this space a lot more than I do. You're kind of a disruptor when it comes to subscriptions and things like that. What's next? What technology? What are you seeing on the horizon that's really going to make a difference,
Yeah.
like
So
to the consumer?
So we as a company, we are not founded to be a subscription company. That's where we spend a lot of our time. But our vision has always been like bigger relationship commerce. There are different ways of interacting with consumers, subscription being one of them, bundles like membership and so on. If you think ahead of time, wherever there's friction for the consumer, right, that's an opportunity to remove that friction, give them a reason to be loyal to a retailer or like a brand, and have the retailer benefit from like these like things. So think of this as, hey, why wouldn't things come automatically based on certain consumption like cadences, right? Why would there not be something that anticipates my needs ahead of time and then takes care of me? Or it doesn't just mean like here's more stuff. It can also mean like, hey, I know you're not ready yet, so I'm gonna delay that like for you, like things like that. So think
Mm.
about more data about the consumer, leading to more personalization, leading to less like friction, better experience, longer lasting relationships. And then for the retailer, that means like incremental, like recurring, like revenue, longer like relationships, longer lifetime value, revenue, and profit.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So let's say I'm a retailer and I've got a subscription model. I've got a membership model. I've got this kind of the customer experience kind of rocking and rolling. What's my what key indicator should I be looking at? What because like you said, sometimes it's revenue, sometimes it's new customers, sometimes it's repeat business. What key element really makes the difference in your opinion?
Yeah, so I think it's important that you actually, you know, the saying, can't manage what you can't like measure, right? So that you decide effectively who you want to be, what the right metrics are for you. And generally, I think that means subscriptions is that I check the box. I also want to have it because my competitor has it. Or actually, no, I
Mm,
want this to be my dominant go-to-market motion because I understand the benefits, and I'm really excited about that like that. and then treating it like it deserves to be treated from a measurement perspective, you probably want to look at your base of active subscribers, right? Like how many do I actually have, and then how are they coming in, your enrollment rate. So of every checkout on your site, how many of those, of all your checkouts, how many are one-time purchase versus a subscription? How can I shift that towards like more subscriptions? Then looking into subscribers, how long do they stay, right? Like cancellation rate, and how do I extend like that, the things we talked about, right? Whether they want to leave and you give them reasons to stay, like better incentive program, discount code, so that like these things are just better like experience. And then also how you grow them, right? So the subscription usually is just the beginning, and then once you are a subscriber, you end up spending more with the retailer outside of subscription. Even all our studies that we've done with our customers have shown that your incremental spend goes up once you become a subscriber, not just directly from the subscription, but you're just more loyal to the brand. They're more top of mind. The next time you need to make a purchase and you have like choices, you're more likely to make it with them. That's been very
you're used to walking through that door, so there's no reason not to. Yeah,
totally. And at the end of the day, Amazon Prime, right, figured this out a long time ago. It's not about the membership fee that you pay. I think it's like $129 a year or something like this. Like that's
it keeps
money.
going up, but yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it's about like now next time I need to make a purchase, I don't go to Google, I go to like Amazon, right? And your spend goes up. And the same with a subscription. Signing up for a subscription is the same as saying like, hey, I'm raising my hand. I self-identify as a customer that would like to be loyal with you, and I would like to bring you more of my business. And then if you treat them that way, that's what's gonna like happen, right? And that's like super exciting. How to grow like your revenue from your subscribers, right? Like think about like upsell opportunities. Subscription also means there's a box shipping, right, on a regular like cadence, and that's a great opportunity to say, hey, UPS is coming anyhow, and the box is coming anyhow. Would you like to throw in some other items, right? Save on shipping, benefit from the discount, the environment, right? The box is half empty, right, and so on. And that works like really well. And if you focus on these like metrics, and each one leads to an army of like sub metrics, right, and gets like quite like complex. But if you focus on that, then it's a matter of time that you execute your program successfully.
A lot of things can key in together. A lot of teeth and a lot of gears kind of push it forward. Absolutely.
It's definitely not have a person, right, somewhere like, good luck with my subscriptions, right? It's really like about the go to market motion for you as a retailer, as a brand, right? And then that usually comes from this insight that lifetime value, lifetime revenue, like profit, is so like different incremental like spend. And once you get to that, that's when retailers say like, I want to sell as many subscriptions as possible, and they start looking like at their business, and they're looking for opportunities. We have customers, for example, like very big like retailers that offer subscriptions enrollment in their physical stores. So like you check out on the POS, and then the POS prompts the rep and says like, hey, ask this customer they would like to subscribe to this product, and then they ask you if you would like to have this shipped to your home every 45 days with a discount for shipping, like these things. And that's very effective at enrolling, but that comes from this insight that, hey, subscribers are better customers for me as a retailer. And once you have that, how do I now promote subscription enrollment like everywhere throughout my business?
That makes it, Paul. You've given me a lot to think about when it comes to subscriptions and everything, and I don't think I'm going to look at them the same way again. But we're running up against our time limit here. But I've got one more question for you. So it's kind of a career thought to ask. And if you were starting your career, what advice would you go back and give yourself if you were just fresh?
Interesting. So I did start my career at a relatively large company, right? So I had like smaller jobs, but I did like 5 years like PayPal. This is like a long time ago. They were still owned by eBay. They were like one of the really few, really big ones, right? They were bigger than like Amazon at the time. And at the time, I don't think I appreciated that as much because of all the overhead and like slowness, right? And then you just can't move that fast at a company like this. So I was always
Sure.
like, man, I wish you could move faster. I'm very have a high sense of urgency. I'm very impatient. I like to have impact and so on. But then once I'd left after over 5 years, I realized how tremendous of a learning opportunity that was. So I sat on the floor with 200 incredible PMs, and just the opportunity to learn from that is just incredible. When I then joined startups, I was like, so you guys don't do it like this, and you guys don't know about that. Why is that? And I realized I had learned so much just being in this larger company and all
Really?
being close to all these very very smart, very educated people. So I think the non-intuitive but right advice is, if you wanna do product at a startup, probably start doing product at a product first company that's large, where you have opportunity to just left and right, whether it's the people you can work with, or just the scale of customers that you can learn on, all these things. I like to think I have a growth mindset, and I'm very curious. I always want to learn. And big companies like that can, if they are product centric or product focused, can be tremendous opportunities. And then you can take those learnings, apply them to your own business or at a startup that you just joined, all these things. So maybe I'm a little bit saying what I did is my advice. Maybe I would go back in time and tell myself no, you should do this. You might not think you should do it, but you should
It's
do it
okay
like
to be
this.
where you are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just interesting how I thought about the job at the time and how I thought about the job later on. It's very different. And I think I was lucky that I stayed long enough and got to all these I think very incredibly valuable learnings.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. That's never bad advice. To make sure you take advantage of where you are. Yeah,
Yes,
is you're in the right spot, I guess. Cool. Well, yeah, I cannot thank you again for joining us on Retail Corner, and we'll link all of your information below. And if anybody wants to reach out to you, you're I'm sure that you're okay with that. If anybody has any questions about subscription stuff, and I cannot
absolutely.
thank you
Thanks for having
again.
me. Oh, thank you.
Awesome. I'll see you guys next time.
Bye bye.
If you would like to be featured on our podcast, please email us at podcast@retailcorner.live or visit our website, retailcorner.live. Looking forward to having you as our guest on our podcast, and thank you so much for listening.